Okay, let's dive right into this, because today we're exploring a truly terrifying, almost unthinkable concept. Imagine waking up in a reality that just isn't quite your own. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to visually unpack two of the most chilling, well-documented accounts of what some genuinely believe to be parallel universes. We're going to pinpoint the exact moments the world fractured for two very different women and look at how they tried to navigate an absolutely impossible situation.
So, I want you to seriously think about this for a second. What if your life literally rewrote itself overnight? Just imagine waking up and realizing that every single shred of proof of your existence, your choices, your relationships, poof, vanished. Your ID says you belong right where you are, your family looks at you like you're losing it, and every public record on Earth directly contradicts your own memory. That's the intense psychological tension we're dealing with in today's explainer. Our investigation formally starts with this exact desperate plea. Back in July of 2008, a woman named Lina from Madrid posted these exact words to an online science forum. "Hello, my name is Lina, I am 41 years old, and I think I jumped into a parallel universe." Now, she wasn't looking for 15 minutes of fame, she never wrote a book, and she didn't make a single dime off this story. She was literally just an exhausted 41-year-old woman searching for anyone, anywhere, who might actually understand what the heck had happened to her. And this brilliantly illustrates our core focus today, that sudden, jarring divergence from known facts. When we put Lina's experience in Madrid side by side with another famous account, Carol's bizarre trip through Riverside, California in 2006, we see two totally different scales of reality just breaking down. Lina experienced what we could call micro shifts. Her reality fractured through tiny, super mundane details. Think waking up to blue sheets instead of beige, or finding your favorite coffee mug in the wrong kitchen cabinet. Carol, though, she experienced massive macro shifts. While she was driving through her own hometown, entire houses disappeared and the local cemetery where her grandparents were buried was suddenly just a dirt lot.
For Lina, the whole thing felt a lot like that proverbial frog boiling in water. It kicked off with that mild early morning confusion over the bed sheets, right? But it quickly escalated into sheer, unadulterated panic at work. She gets to her office of 20 years only to find her nameplate missing and then learns she's been assigned to a completely different department. The wrong facts just rapidly piled up around her. She distinctly remembered her sister having a shoulder operation. Her family had absolutely no memory of it. She found a photo of herself hanging out with a blues guitarist at a music festival on a weekend she knew for a fact she'd spent with her family for her birthday. But the absolute gut punch, the most devastating divergence, her boyfriend Augustine, the man who had actually helped her leave her toxic, violent ex-boyfriend Miguel, he simply never existed. Let's move to and see how this builds in our second case. For Carol in Riverside, the divergence was geographical, and it was immediate. She was taking a quick detour to visit her grandparents' graves during a road trip with her dog Sandy. She frantically drives to her old house, gone. Her grandmother's house, also gone, completely replaced with older homes with total strangers living in them. The cemetery was literally just a fenced-in weed patch. Even Main Street was totally unrecognizable, covered in graffiti. And get this, the historic 1876 Mission Inn, a massive castle-like building that usually took up an entire city block, had vanished without a trace. Her drive turned into a claustrophobic nightmare real quick. What's genuinely fascinating to analyze here is how these two women navigated their incredibly hostile new environments. They both desperately needed to prove to themselves that they weren't going crazy, but their survival tactics were polar opposites. Lina sought internal anchors. She desperately looked for people who knew her history, trying to validate her memories through her sister and that missing boyfriend. Carol, on the other hand, was trapped in her car, so she searched for external anchors. She relied on concrete, physical geography, family homes, the iron gates of the cemetery, historical architecture. She was just trying to ground herself in some kind of physical reality. But physical reality for Carol was becoming profoundly unnatural. If we really lean into the sensory details of her account, her terrifying shift didn't actually start with a missing building. It started with an impossible smell. As she took the highway exit into Riverside, her closed car suddenly filled with the heavy, thick scent of her late grandfather's cigar smoke. Even though her windows were rolled up tight against the rain pouring outside, that smell was suffocatingly real. And then, the sensory deprivation kicked in, and the dread built up fast. The rain was visibly pouring down, pounding on her windshield, yet there was absolutely no sound, just complete, dead silence. The eerie atmosphere of this alternate Riverside just kept deepening. As she drove through the streets hunting for those external anchors, she suddenly realized there was no traffic. Zero. She hadn't seen a single car since she left the highway. And to make it even weirder, the light outside was entirely wrong. It was this flat gray light, and nothing, literally nothing on the street cast a shadow. Inside the car, the panic was becoming completely contagious. Her sheepdog, Sandy, who usually loved hanging out the window, was now pressed hard against the floorboards, physically shaking in pure terror. Carol desperately flipped on the car radio, just needing to check the news, to hear a human voice, anything. But across every single AM and FM dial, nothing but dead static. Finally, she spotted some movement, a small group of people standing on a street corner. But as she pulled over, this deep, soul-crushing fear washed over her. They had arms and legs, sure, but their proportions were completely unnatural. And worse, when they moved in this slow, stuttering frame rate, almost like a damaged old film reel. Carol realized in that moment, these weren't exactly people. They were something merely wearing the shape of people. And she knew, with absolute certainty, that if she spoke to them, she was never coming back.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how science offers a chilling possibility for all this. After exhausting every rational explanation, Lina, and eventually Carol too, found some comfort in a concept known as the many worlds theory. This theory suggests that infinite parallel universes exist right alongside ours, separated only by varying vibrational frequencies. And occasionally, these frequencies can collide or overlap, creating a kind of rift. Basically, if you happen to be in the wrong place at the exact wrong time, you might just slip right through that rift into another version of your own universe.
And Lina, she was determined to prove to herself that she hadn't just slipped a mental gear. Over time, she documented over 100 specific, distinct items that were factually wrong in her new world. I mean, think about that. Over 100. This massive list was her personal proof that this wasn't just a brief lapse in memory, or déjà vu, or some stress-induced hallucination. This was a systemic, full-scale reality failure. Before she ever turned to the internet, Lina pursued every logical avenue to prove she wasn't losing her mind. Step 1, she literally voluntarily checked herself into a hospital psychiatric ward. She got a brain scan, a toxicology panel, a full neurological workup, and it all came back completely clean and healthy. Step 2, she hired a private investigator to track down her missing boyfriend, Augustine. After running him through every national database, the PI handed her a file and definitively concluded the man she loved had never even been born. It was only then, at step 3, that she finally turned to the internet for help.
So the crucial point is how starkly different their aftermaths turned out to be. Carol's visceral, gut-wrenching fear at seeing those entities on the corner caused her to just hit the gas. She fled straight for the freeway, and the moment she hit that on-ramp, the illusion completely broke. Sound rushed back in, the radio started playing a song, and she drove right back into her normal timeline. But Lina never found a freeway out. She went back to her apartment only to find her violent ex-boyfriend Miguel waiting for her, alive and well, treating her as if they had never even broken up. She spent about 2 years answering emails from fellow reality shifters online, and then she just disappeared from the internet entirely, presumably still stuck in that nightmare timeline.
Which brings us to a rather unsettling thought to leave you with today. If Lina's theory holds any water, a small update to reality could happen to anyone at absolutely any time. I mean, think about the last time you were talking to an old friend, and they vividly recalled things you said or did, but you have absolutely zero memory of it happening. Sometimes, the person they're describing doesn't even sound like you at all. So I leave you with this. When an old friend remembers you differently, is it really you they are remembering? Or is it just evidence of a tiny glitch in the timeline? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the world around you.